Well, welcome to my live stream of making a DM screen. I'm gonna be using OneNote to pull that together. A few of my players have told me that uh, when I run, I have to look things up too often. So I figured that aside from just making better judgment calls on the fly, having a page on OneNote here that I can utilize to have references that are quick references that I like to look up pretty often could be available. The things I was going to start with is probably a common items and services. Actually, let's say goods and services. Let's do that. So I'll have a whole page for that. I'll have this menu down here that I could use to access each page and a DM screen here. So now I won't have to go searching for it. I'll just have it available to me right here. Let's see. While I am doing this, I have my chat window open next to me for Twitch. Feel free to make suggestions on what you think good pages would be to add to my Dungeon Master screen. I know the things I often look up, including goods and services. Another one that I look up a lot are, let's see, actions and combat. And these are things like grappling, shoving, things that people don't do all the time, but when they do, sometimes you need to make a reference. Maybe I'll just make this combat, and then it's combat references. Let's see. So I have Google here. We can search for some of these things. Like I'm just gonna utilize this table. Hey Zig, yeah, just keep that social distancing up while you're doing that. All right, don't let anything happen to Mom. So I put the costs of trade goods in there. And oh, let's see. Let's put some lifestyle expenses. As well. Let's see what happens if I do this. Oh, not what I wanted. Alright. I'd like to make that into a table, so maybe I'll go ahead and do that. So format this the way I want it. Cost and goods. I can just go in here and do that. I prefer to have a table, so I'm going to go ahead and do that later, but I have the information there so I can. Let's see, what else do I want to add to it? Lifestyle expenses. That'll be good. Also going to add cost of food, drink, and lodging. Cost of services. Okay, fine. I'll format these when I get there. Just trying to throw in together everything that I am thinking might fit. If anybody's out there, feel free to offer suggestions on chat or, you know, friend me on Twitch. I would love to be able to continue to communicate with you and have you watch my streams. I don't want the links here. I'm just looking for the information. So let's see, what else do I want in here? You know what? There was a good... So I'm also going to put adventuring gear in here, and I think I'm going to make that a sub-page to this of adventuring gear. Again, this is all just for my reference, so I don't mind utilizing things that are available on the internet. And this is to have everything in one place so I can easily find and utilize it. I'll probably make that into several tables instead of one table. so that I have just this reference material here, or possibly even other subpages. This will make it really easy for me to one click away, find what I'm looking for, and be able to find prices or explanations on the items that my players ask me about often during downtime trying to purchase or use. I think I'm also, in addition to these pages, I might have downtime rules and tool use. Just so that I have references to that as well. Quickly accessible to me. Again, I'd love to hear suggestions from the chat as to what other pages I can add to my Dungeon Master screen. I know I'm going to add a page for conditions as well. This way I have that. Alright. Oh, that's a fantastic idea. NPC names and personalities. Yeah. Names of shops would be awesome as well. Let's see. Maybe I'll just do NPC and location names. Maybe have it by maybe race, like human. And then do another one that's like dwarf. Elf. I don't know why that one doesn't want to line up, but it doesn't. Let's see. Those are the major ones, right? Yeah, I love OneNote. Since I've been running 5 games a week on Roll20, OneNote has been invaluable. I'm running them all in the same campaign world, so having all of the information about my campaign world as well as a separate section for each of my games makes it completely useful. What do you use for session stuff? I did that for a long time in just had it typed up um, and for my tabletop games. But now that I'm running a lot on Roll20 because of the quarantine, I find it makes it a lot easier to have this. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. With this, I can have like my session notes. So, for instance, the game I just ran on Saturday, I can have my notes for the whole session, and then I can have my locations, and I can just have a link to that location with all the notes on it. So it makes it really easy for me. Um, but yeah, for a long time, I used to just type everything up in Word and use it there and have everything in front of me there. But for online gaming with Roll20, since I've converted to that, this is just really super simple to have up on my second monitor while I'm running the game and have everything in front of me. Let's see, where was I? Back to this. So for some reason, Halfling wants to be up high, and so does this one. So I'll figure that out. What did you use when you used a program? Let's see. Aha, that's why. That's why it doesn't want to line up. I was being dumb. Came down to user error as usual. So, let's see. I was working on goods and services here. So I just want to copy these to here. And copy them into this chart instead of having that. It just makes more sense for me. This feels like there is a table here because it keeps acting like a table. I don't know. That's not the right spot. Alrighty. Let's get this done here. I know it's not lively watching me cut and paste things, and that's kind of boring, but I am continuing to brainstorm what exactly I want in my Dungeon Master screen while I'm doing this. Not just the formatting, but where I'm going to put, what else I'm going to put in here. I would love continued discussions on that and what you'd think would be good. Potions and the cost of making them. Oh, that's a fantastic idea. So actually, I would make a second page for that. So we can put consumables on a page. So I have adventuring gear here with all kinds of information. Working on that. Some items can probably be highlighted in different colors for rarity too. I like that. That is definitely going to happen. Let's see. Why don't I use one of these? And I'm probably going to put this in downtime. Costs of goods. Alright. I like these sticky note things. They're really useful. No, it does not cost 1 hit point for a pound of sugar. Somebody better buy a pound of platinum in my game just so that I have a reason to have it here. There we go. So trade goods. Lifestyle expenses. Services. I'll mess with the formatting later. If your players really like the gritty stuff, a table of spells that require material components and what those components are. I agree. I don't use them as much, but I guess using them in my descriptions of NPCs casting spells, that would be useful. Yeah. My players, if they choose to describe the use of their components when they do their spell casting, I really like that. Weight and encumbrances. I don't use a lot of weight and encumbrance, or I kind of, not necessarily hand wave it, but utilize weight and encumbrance when it, in a, like, if it makes sense that you could carry it kind of way. But that might be a fine thing to put in here as well, because some players want to know those things. And sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's important. So there's that. Let's do that. Let's add a page, and I'll move it here for... Nope, that's not what I wanted. I know that I spelled that wrong. There we go. Travel times. Travel D. Other effects. Like I said, I don't necessarily not use weight and encumbrance at all. It's just more of a common sense rather than specific weights of every item that they carry. But it's probably a good idea to have references just for my own benefit. And again, if they ask. But yeah, 5,000 gold pieces in a belt pouch. That's completely reasonable. I don't track things like ammo either, like arrows and stuff, unless it makes sense, unless they would need to track that. I kind of figure if they're in a city or a town, they have places to like store that stuff or access to buy it if they need it. But if they're out in the wilderness getting lost, then I figured, well, eventually they're going to run out of ammo. Oh, weather effects. Um, Not sure. Not sure what I want to do with that. Hmm. Let's see. Adventuring gear. I want to make this easier to do here. There, that's better. Give me 1 second. I will be back in a moment. Okay, I am back. Sorry. Had to grab some motivational beverage here. Yes, that's exactly what happens with the coins. They just go into this extra dimensional space, which is what will happen once you get a bag of holding. But until then, coin weight is important. So I should keep track of that. Why are the titles of these tables underneath them? That's what I want to know. Seems silly. Let's get rid of that. Do that. Let's get rid of that. And do that. And in fact, why don't we get rid of this like that. Move this in a little bit. And over. Move that there. There we go. I think that works. There's some information at hand. That works for me. Okay, so we've got goods and services here. This might get expanded eventually. I feel like more can be added to this. If you have any ideas or what can be added to goods and services, then let me know. I will probably expand that. I have adventuring gear and then consumable magic items, which will take a little more time to add. Actually, let's see if I have it on here. Let's see. That's not the right one. There it is. I always end up having to go looking for this PDF. It's called the Sane Magical Prices. I really prefer it because figuring out magical item prices using the DMG is a pain in the butt, and I don't think that they are always the most accurate. I feel like some magical items should be more costly than they show in the DMG, or this stupid uniform price is kind of silly. Let's see what happens when I do this. I'm sure the formatting is going to be awful, and I'm going to have to fix it. Oh yeah, that's terrible. I don't know if I want to do that. I might have to type that out. Anybody know how to do that? Probably not. Nobody knows how to do that. Well, somebody knows how to do that, just not in this chat room. There are 5 of us in this chat room. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very helpful. I'll get right on that. You know, I wasn't sure if that's how that worked, but now that I understand the interface to being able to put words on screen is through the keyboard, I will make use of it. Very nice. Well, I don't know if people want to sit here and watch me typing the consumables list that is on there. Might not be the most efficient use of my time on this video. Yeah, me too, man. Biggest computer problems you have are between the monitor and the chair. Yeah, 90% of the time user error. That's what it gets chalked down to. Alright, well, let's move on to that. So actually, weight and encumbrance, I don't even think I need an entire section on this, because the rules for 5th edition are super easy. It is just, let's see. So here's 5th edition SRD. Carrying capacity is literally just your strength multiplied by 15. This is the weight in pounds that you can carry, which is high enough that most characters don't usually have to worry about it. That's it. It's very, very easy. If you carry weight in excess of 5 times your strength, sir, you're encumbered. That's variant rules. But let's grab that, because that's useful to know. And drop it in here. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I will pull up the DMG and skim through that for chart ideas. You know what charts I really like having are I like having that. I think that'll go with conditions here. Make that a subcategory of conditions. Actually, I feel like putting it in here might be helpful. Yeah, I haven't played much Pathfinder. I kind of left 5th edition, or left after 3.5, kind of went by the wayside, and they started 4th edition. I completely left Dungeons and Dragons altogether. I went to 7C and played that, but I love 5th edition. It's nice and streamlined. Oh, where was I? Goods and services, adventuring gear, consumable magic items, combat, grappling, shoving. That's the big things in combat that I find I have to look up a lot, are grappling and shoving rules. They're simple, but I don't think about them very often. But I will kind of take a look and see what other ones. They're so easy to... They're actually really easy. They're just opposed athletics versus opposed either athletics or acrobatics to escape it. And for some reason, I always have to look it up. It's actually that simple. I guess if I'm telling you what it is, I probably don't need to look it up anymore, but I'm going to put it in here for reference anyway, because I'll forget. Yeah. Downtime rules. I like using the Xanathar's Guide downtime rules. But especially if I'm running at night, having a light on and opening up the book and looking through it is a pain in the butt. But having a link or just having the information here might be really useful. And then as well, I want to include... There's some rules in Xanathar's and there's some rules in the DMG, but figuring out exactly how I want to handle crafting magical items, I think I'm going to put that in here as well. New followers, huh? Thank you. Reached 10, so that's fantastic. Thank you very much. Up from 7. Welcome. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you find it fun and useful. I'm going to try and do this a lot. I've got a lot of downtime right now, and I want to share what I love. You are fine being here. This is all just me making a Dungeon Master screen. I'm not revealing any of my notes about any of my games. This is just me building a reference guide for myself. So you are absolutely welcome to be here. Also, feel free to watch the streams of other games that you don't play it. That would be awesome. Oh, there. Now it's doing what I wanted it to do earlier. I can actually see my mixer. Okay. So I have this nifty article that I found about crafting. It's kind of got stuff from everywhere, but I think that I want to put it into my notes where I can easily find it, rather than having to look it up online. I'm losing track of what I'm trying to do. So, which one should I work on now? I'll let you guys decide. Should I work on the consumable magic items? That might be a lot of formatting. Or crafting magic item rules? Which one? Just adding tables? use my notes. Both my games are running the same basic story, so I've already run through it once. The second group does things a little different, like side stuff or doing things in a different order, but it's basically following the same story. Oh, okay, yeah. I actually have 2 groups right now that are running through the same adventure path. I completely expect them to diverge wildly. My other 3 groups are each playing through entirely different stories in the same world, and I fully expect that each group's actions will affect the others. Hi, Dun James. I think so. I hate to say. Um, where do I know you from? Here? Crafting magic items. Of course you want me to work on crafting magic items. Everybody wants to know how to make magic items. It's hard. Takes time. Consumables, not as much time. But permanent magic items, a lot of time. At least in my world. I try to remember people as much as possible. Um, did you have this same screen name the last time? Because, oh. Now I'm making an ass of myself right on Twitch. Awesome. Well, I will certainly not forget now. Uh, I am currently working on making a Dungeon Master screen for my D&D games and building it out so that I can spend less time looking things up on the internet when I'm running Roll20 games. So far, we've worked on some good and services references, as well as adventuring gear and consumable magic items. People are making suggestions as to what I should add. I want to add some rules on crafting magical items. Let's see. Up to 8 viewers. Wow. That's big for me. That's the most I've had so far. Let me see. So like I said, I have this website that I found that has all of the differences between the rules for crafting magical items. This is something I'm actually going to have to read through and figure out how I want to do it. But having a formula and a spellcasting ability is definitely going to be a requirement for me. This is the crafting magic items page from the Dungeon Master's Guide. But this is from Xanathar's. Xanathar's rules. A character does not need to be a spellcaster to create a magic item, except for spell scrolls. Thus, no matter material components are consumed or spell slots expended, gaining materials is a one-time deal according to Xanathar, which should be required through the adventure. I like the idea of having to gather certain materials to craft a magic item. I do not like the idea that anybody can make them, even if you're not a spellcaster, aside from brewing healing potions, which I think anybody with the herbalism kit should be able to do. And so I will probably make something that is a combination of these rule sets to craft. So it's gonna... That might take me a little bit to put together. And I'm going to have to rip through these and see which ones I want to use and how I want to use them. The other thing I want to do is add the Madness rules for 5th edition into my chart. have them do a ritual. Yeah, I mean, ritual magic is something that is a spellcasting ability. Um, I'll have to think about it. I don't want to take anything special away from being a spellcaster or an artificer. Um, but, like, would a fighter be able to make a magic greatsword if he knew the right ritual? I don't know. That's something I need to think about. I don't know how it's going to work in my world. It is an idea, and it's definitely an idea I'm going to think about. Yeah, that's true. I could up the difficulty for non-casters to figure out how they're going to, how they can do it. Um, I want to add these real quick, which is the short-term and long-term madness charts, infinite madness charts. Let's see how this pastes in here. Nope. Also nope. Still nope. I was hoping it would bring the bring that chart with it. See, this is clearly a table. These are clearly this is clearly a table. But it's not showing the lines on the table. So I gotta figure out how to fix the formatting. Let's look this way. Table. Nope, that's shading. There it is. Really? Yeah, I use it a lot for this. I actually found it as a suggestion from another dungeon master on YouTube, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, and I've been using it ever since. It just Uh, well, I used it for one campaign, and I found that the amount of work that it took to do that took a little while. But I discovered that for running Roll20 games, it helps a lot. So. Let's see, what else do I want to add in here? So I have madness effects in here. Um, and then I probably want to put a little blurb about curing it. Why? Okay. I'm not sure why it won't let me edit the wording. I'm not sure that you remember who I am at this point. I'm starting to wonder. Oh, there we go. Is that going to let me do it? Nope. There it is. about a table for conditions? That's too far. Weird. Alright, so I have this here because, again, it's easier than trying to look things up when I'm already in my notes, trying to go online and search for whatever it is I'm looking for, or looking through a book. Since I keep all my notes for each of my adventures here in OneNote, having this as just another tab that I can jump to when I need it is really easy. And not only that, but I can, for instance, I want to clear... I want to edit this link and go into OneNote and go into conditions, so I can link it there, and boom, it's going to take me right to that. So that's helpful for me. I can do that. So I'm going to actually go through each of these. Actually don't need to do that, because just having the one link, they're all going to link me to the same page. So I know this is just a lot of formatting, and some of it's not exactly exciting creative stuff, but like I said, building a Dungeon Master's screen right here in OneNote where I have the rest of my campaign notes, my notes for each of my adventures, my notes on each of my characters for each of my different campaigns. That is a fantastic way for me to spend less time digging through books or websites when my players ask me questions that I need to come up with an answer for. Sometimes I do want to come up with those answers on the fly, but other times I want to be able to look them up and have some kind of reference for either cost comparison or just understanding how they would work in 5e before I make some kind of a call on an event or action or question that comes up. I have one particular group, they like to do a lot of downtime activities apparently, and so knowing the cost of goods that they need in order to perform those downtime activities or performing or anything of that nature, having them right at my fingertips will make things go a lot smoother, and I can spend less time doing research for on-the-fly situations and a lot more time narrating and pushing the story forward. Again, if you have any suggestions as to what can be on my Dungeon Master screen, I would love to hear them. And I have added quite a few from the suggestions made already. If you would like to discuss any of the topics on these, or ask about what I use each section for instance, the Madness and Insanity or crafting magic items, those are things that you can ask and we can discuss. I was starting to build a system for crafting magic items, starting with this website I found here that compares the different versions of crafting, and coming up with how I want mine to work. I guess the first rules would be requirements. And then let's see. What do we want to require them to have to make magic items? Well, one is a formula. That seems to be consistent throughout all of them. I like the idea of them having to be a spellcaster. This one says character level, and then the materials, tools, and location. Those are some requirements. Other requirements, I'm just going to list every possible requirement, and then I can go through and figure out what I want to get rid of. Gold cost and time required. Tool and skill proficiencies. Permanent items versus scrolls versus potions. Character can find a buyer for a single magic item by spending the word and paying 25 gold for 1 work week. Gems of different prices, crushed diamonds, pieces of magical monsters. Yes. Yes, and I think so. Let's break this down. Materials, tools, and location. Materials. So think gold cost can go in here, right? And then time required can be separate. Tools and tool proficiencies. Wow. I had the word right in front of me. I was still not spelling it right. I'm just awful. Hmm. Oh, I like this. Right here. Unexpected characteristics that manifest in an item. That might be interesting. Unexpected results. What happens if you are crafting a magical item and you are making certain skill rolls and you have many successful skill rolls and treating it perhaps similar to a skill challenge where you need to make a certain number of skill rolls over a certain period of time and you succeed at them overall. But it's similar to a skill challenge where if you make any failures, those failures can result in maybe unexpected properties or a lower quality of the item. I think that would be interesting if you intend to make one thing and what you make is not necessarily a failure, but something different or less than what you intended. And then creating a homebrew item, formulas. So this has formulas on this website or sample formulas. So those are things I'm going to have to think of based on what exactly my players want to create. But I think this is a good starting point, and I definitely think I like stuff from Xanathar's and stuff from the DMG kind of combined to create my own kind of crafting magical items idea. And this is a good start to figuring out what that's going to look like. Acquiring materials should be a encounter quest. And you shouldn't just be able to walk into a store and buy what you need for everything. Some of those materials, yes, but a primary component or some component of it should need to be like collected through player agency and overcoming some kind of a challenge, not just being able to go and say, I spend this much gold on building this particular magic item. Let's see. So that puts a little bit of legwork on my end as the dungeon master, as I will have to come up with formulas for magic items that my players wish to craft. But that's okay. I like doing that type of stuff. That's the type of stuff that gets your players excited, is creating things specifically for them and for them to do. Spellcasting ability. I think it makes sense that you would have to be able to cast it yourself if you're going to make an item that casts it. If you disagree, feel free to let me know. And if you agree, you can let me know that too. If you think that someone should be able to craft an item without using a spellcasting, without having a spellcasting ability, I know there's at least one person in chat who thinks that. And if more of you agree, then completely go ahead and let me know. I would love to hear from you and talk about that. Again, as I'm building this, the reason I'm doing it live on Twitch and the reason I have a chat window open is so that I can hear from you guys, and maybe you'll think of something that I haven't thought of. So far, I've had a few contributors who have helped me to come up with some of these things that are going into this Dungeon Master screen at the moment. Let's take a look at this. do appreciate everybody who has been in the chat so far. Let's see. Unearthed Arcanas think that I think there is a way you could make it up, or logically magic users should be the only ones. And I think that there should be a spellcaster, that they should be a spellcaster at least, a spellcaster present to make the item. If the person that does the item is not a spellcaster, maybe have some help of someone who is. Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. There are rules in the Dungeon Master's Guide for multiple people contributing to the creation of a magic item, and I think that if someone who's not a spellcaster maybe wants to make a magic item, let's say there's someone in the party who can smith, and there's someone in the party who's a spellcaster that can't smith, then if they want to make a magic weapon, I think that they should be able to work together to both build and imbue what's necessary to make that work. I think that's one way to do it right there, is that a non-spellcaster can start the process but not finish the process, or can be a part of the process in some way. So this is a little different than making the DM screen, which is what I had originally intended to do, and I think that my crafting magical items page is going to get moved to house rules. Sorry, organization is something that I am big on, is organization and formatting. It helps me think. It helps me keep things organized in order that I can get to quickly, and that just makes sense to my brain when I'm putting it all together. My brain can get very easily distracted and all over the place, and having things in a format that makes sense to me kind of keeps things moving forward. These are the things I am homebrewing. We created a domain for a cleric that I have in my campaign, and there are some things here for mass combat and organizations and officer posts within an organization, and they are things that are growing and being worked on but are incomplete. Just so you know, if you want, give me a follow, friend me, give me a sub. I would be happy to take those. And if you already have, thank you very much. I will be running D&D tonight, and as long as my players are up for it, we will be streaming that as well. That is at 5:30 Eastern Time, and I'm hoping to be streaming D&D games, at least 3, if not all 5 of my Roll20 games, and seeing how people like that. Hopefully it's entertaining. Hopefully, it's a fun story and all my players are on board. It's something that I've wanted to do for a long time, is stream D&D, but now that I'm home a lot because of the COVID crisis, I actually have an opportunity to do it, so I'm giving it a shot. Character level is going to be based on rarity, I believe. So this has a big difference from DMG. Well, let's see. Uh, see, there's not. They don't have any kind of like right here. They have like a critique of the DMG version, but no critique of Xanathar's. And I have a feeling that my crafting magical items rules are going to look very similar to Xanathar's guide. I like the way they laid things out for downtime and tool use. Yeah, I hear you. I've I've watched some D&D streams that I think are a lot of fun. I've watched others that are not as much fun. Um, but you know, I like these types of streams where I'm collaborating on prep, and so I'm doing that because I enjoy that. But I know that people out there like watching D&D streams, and there, like I said, there's some I like, there's some I don't. Um, I don't know. I want to give it a shot. Hmm. Okay. So again, materials. Let's see. I'm gonna get rid of that for a second. Not that I'm getting rid of it altogether, but yeah, that's absolutely true. I agree that looking things up and inside jokes can be difficult for an audience to get on board with. I've found that listening to podcasts of streams or of games that are being played is easier for me personally. I enjoy doing that when I have the time to do so, more so than watching videos of it. But you can throw a video up in the background of whatever you're doing and listen to it that way. And you can rip, obviously, the audio from a stream and turn that into a podcast, which I might do eventually. And that's why I'm building this, in order to reduce the amount of time I'm spending looking things up, not just for my players, but also if I'm going to stream it. The more time that's spent in the actual play of the game, in the action, is a lot more fun than the amount of time than seeing that stuff on camera or listening to it in a podcast. At the same time, having an adventure that is full of a good story and role playing is fun to listen to and watch. And those inside jokes, I feel like if you're a longtime watcher or listener, that you will be kind of a part of those inside jokes. Especially all the games that I'm running right now are kind of just starting on Roll20, so it's going to be a lot of Roll20 stuff going on in the background, much less than, say, players sitting around the table with cameras on their faces. So maybe that'll be more boring, maybe it'll be less boring, I don't know. If it's not the thing you're into, keep coming back for these streams, and commenting here. I appreciate the discussion. Materials. Wow. I feel like adding that you need to have someone involved in the process that has the ability to make the item that you are crafting is important. I don't think you should just be able to be a spellcaster that casts a ritual and poof, you have a magic sword in front of you. I think the crafting of the sword through smithing should be a part of the process of creating the magic item. If you disagree with me, let me know. Or if you have an idea of how that should work and if it and what kind of a difficulty that should be, I'd love to hear that too. Maybe I should have this the other way around, like this has it, and do what tools allow you to make what items. So sure, that makes sense. Limiting checks to only those who are proficient at a skill. I think I do that at times for certain situations. I think this might be one of those situations where it makes sense that you have to have the skills and proficiencies necessary in order to be able to do it. Again, I think I like the idea that you have to have that you don't have to be the spellcaster to make the magic item, but you do need to have a spellcaster present to imbue the power into the item. And at the same time, I think that equally so, a spellcaster who can't make armor shouldn't be able to just craft magic armor all of a sudden. I think they should need someone who can craft the item present to make the item as a part of the process. I feel like the Tinker's Tools should be able to do more, but maybe not. I don't know. I'll have to look up the Tinker's Tools. There are different rules in the different books, or I should say, yes, wizards and sorcerers and spellcasters, and in the Dungeon Master's Guide, it doesn't. Here, I'll show you. They're listed here. So in the Dungeon Master's Guide, you have to be able to cast spells in order to make magic items. It is an ability that they have to do. In some campaigns, the DM may not allow spellcasters or anyone to craft magic items. The art is kind of lost, or it's not part of the lore. With the advent of artificers in some of the new material, like Eberron, I feel like being able to craft magic items is something that people want to do more of. There's some rules on how to do it in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and there's some rules on how to do it in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. That's kind of an expansion of those rules. I'm trying to see what I want to take from each one to create my kind of crafting in my homebrew campaigns and my world. Yeah, exactly. If the DM makes it possible, that's what it comes down to. I see I have an 11th follower, so thank you for that. I appreciate it. And welcome. I am just looking things up here while I work on this. GM Vault, just so you know, I followed you back on stream, and I will be glad to check out what you've got on here. Happy to do that. If anyone else out there has streams of their own or Twitch accounts or YouTube channels, let me know. I'll be happy to follow you back and subscribe to your channel if I can. You can find me on YouTube as well. I usually post my streams, or I will be posting my streams on YouTube after the streams are over. Let's see, let's get back to this. So where was I? I was at tools and proficiencies. That'll be needed. So I unnecessarily capitalize things sometimes, as well as unnecessarily spell things incorrectly. So yeah, something I have to get better at. Also something I don't care because I have spell checker. I don't know what else you would use Alchemist Tool for other than making potions and like Alchemist Fire, things like that. I guess. I don't know. If anybody has a better term for what you'd put there, let me know. It just says glasswork here. Does anybody know of any magical items that use glass? Maybe a mirror? Okay. Some spells. You use glass for some spells? That's probably true. There's probably glass components for certain spells. I'd have to look up what they are. Oh, thank you for the link. Apparently there's a spell component database. Holy crap. Alright, well, I'll keep that in mind. We're going to bookmark the crap out of this page. Alright, I will be back. I'm taking a few minute break. It's a couple minutes. So there are 9 spells that require glass as a material component. All right. So I guess the question is, if you're going to imbue a magic item with that particular spell or one of those particular spells, would crafting some kind of glass be involved, or just having the material components be involved, or would you need a special material component? So those are things that I will have to figure out as I build formulas for certain magic items, and how the different tool proficiencies work into the crafting of that magical item. There might be magic items that have glass as a part of the item itself, in which case that would be necessary to have a glass blower's toolkit. If you're joining us, welcome. Thank you for checking us out. Let's see. These are different role-playing challenges for creating a magic item. I don't necessarily need those right now. This is more the how-to of it. Location. I feel like that might be a part of the formula. Not every item might require a location, but some might. What kind of locations would you would be required for crafting a magic item? What do you think? A lab, maybe. These types of locations might include a laboratory, a ritual site, maybe define location. Or maybe a temple, church, something like that. So, crafting a magical item takes an amount of time based on its rarity. Wow, that's the wrong use of its. And complexity. This will also, this will be represented in an amount of... Why did I do that? I don't know. Number and... yeah, cool, I hit a button. So I like using skill challenges. The crafter will need to accumulate a number of successful skill rolls, ability checks to craft the item. Spells used can count towards this number. The DC for each check is determined by the rarity and complexity of the object, as well as what skills and spells are required. How's that sound? What do you think? Do not... or unexpected properties. So failed rolls do not immediately result in failure, but could present complications in the process of crafting the item, and or unexpected properties in the item itself. Don't accidentally create a evil sentient item. I don't know that that'll happen, but... So I think that's my general rules for spellcrafting requirements. And then I'll need to put together tables of those things. I might just use the tables from Xanathar's. That seems logical. And then expand on it from there. I'm going to go back to my Dungeon Master screen here. I have conditions. I have madness. I do not have rules for grappling and shoving at the moment. Let's see. Yeah, I have conditions here with each of the conditions and what, you know, you have to deal with because of them. I don't know if I want to change the way it's formatted, but I have that here for combat. I think just having what those different things are might be useful altogether to have references to that. Situational DCs and how to calculate them. That's a really good idea. That makes me think of something I want to add. I want to add something about intoxications and poisons. But yeah, I like that. So basically building the base DCs for certain activities, and then stating different modifiers to what can modify those DCs. All right. Well, let's see. Trying to figure out where I want to go from here. Yeah, absolutely. And I have a travel thing here, and that's um, all right. Let's do this real quick since we're talking about it. Let's work on that. So let's start with travel times. Why is it not letting me? Okay. We are currently building a Dungeon Master screen. Just references to rules and cool, neat tables and tools that I have to reference on a regular basis so that I can get to them when I need to without having to spend too much time looking them up and make decisions on the fly. Feel free to jump in and make suggestions or contribute to the conversation. Welcome in. Right now we're working on travel times and movement speed. like that. You have a realistic travel table. Feel free to share. I will absolutely take a look at that. Oh, thank you. I would love to see that link. If you are just joining me, I am making a Dungeon Master screen for my reference while for during online play, so that I spend less time looking things up while we are streaming and recording, or just playing in general. Keep things moving at a nice steady pace. If you have not, please feel free to follow my follow here, or You can follow, subscribe, like on YouTube. I am there as well. Thank you. Got a 12th follower there. I appreciate that. Thank you. Um, Game Master's Vault, thank you for the reference to that. I will check that out. Again, I have followed you on Twitch, and anybody who's on here, absolutely find Game Master's Vault and follow them. They have been awesome contributor to my stream today so far. So this is your table I'm pulling up right here, that I think will be really useful in me setting this up. There we go. Oh, of course. Let's do that. Put that up there. That's exactly what I was looking for. On foot travel. I see you have a carrying weight category, which I think is cool. Might add that myself. Oh, that doesn't need to be up there. Huh. I can. I may want to. Put more information than what you have here on your photo here. So I think I'm gonna just kind of like type it out a little bit and utilize it like that. By pigeon. I like that. Let's see how fast it takes. How long it takes to get a message to someone. Let me see here. All right. Let's see. So I have on foot here. We're gonna do on horseback. This is different than what I have here. I think I'm going to use a combination of things here. We also have this. That's not what I wanted. Why does it link there? That's silly. I click on the travel pace link and it brings me to Eberron? I don't understand. What if I click on this one? Also brings me to Eberron. Well, alright. Oh, well, there's things I need to add to my goods and services costs. Okay, well, there's that. Alright, well, I am going to put this on hiatus for now. We'll come back to this at another time. I think this is a great start to what we needed. We also homebrewed a little bit towards the item crafting in my setting. We'll probably expand on that a little more, or I'll expand on that a little more as I go, creating some tables for the DCs and whatnot. I'm going to go through this and keep working on this at another time, but for now I am going to get going for a little while. At 5:30 I am running a Roll20 game. I believe we are going to be streaming it. I will post on Twitter and on Facebook about that starting. Until then, I hope to see you again. Come back, and you can follow me here. You can follow me on Twitter at the Mark Knight. You can follow me on YouTube as well. I have a channel there, and I will put all of those links on my Twitch stream so that you can find me there. Until then, please, again, follow me. Let me know you followed me. Comment. And I hope to see you all again soon. Thanks. I appreciate the help.